Charlie and Eric asked me to speak here. We went back and forth about potential topics. And what we came up with is a desire to really give you some tools that we're going to allow you to be successful as a non-technical founder in a business that is built on technology. This is key. If you're going to be successful, you have to be able to navigate these waters. And what I'm trying to do is give you some basic principles. Some things that will help you to survive out there as you grow and as you develop. Now, next slide up. So, in this talk, I'm drawing on 30 plus years of experience. I started writing software to put food on my table in 1981. I have been involved in Silicon Valley before I immigrated to Singapore, which happened in January, for 30 plus years working at companies like this, helping people build and deliver efficiently software at scale. Once upon a time, that was in little floppy disks, or not so floppy disks, because I was working on the Mac. Later, it was CD-ROMs, DVDs, the internet, electronic distribution, things deployed in the cloud. So I've seen it all, I've done it all. But this talk, you're not getting just my benefit. Shortly after I was asked to do the talk, I went out and I sent a query to about 100 different people that I've known with and worked with. People who've worked at iconic companies across the industry, who've done startups, who've had multiple exits. And 31 of them responded with tidbits. This represents 775 years of experience. So you're getting my 30 years plus their 775 years, so you're at 805 years of experience. And that's what I'm bringing to you. Now, what's as a bonus here is my presentation is at pithy 10 slides. There's an additional 21 slides that is the things they said, which I have copied in and doing some slide editing, and which will be available when I distribute this presentation. So you're getting a really good deal here. Excuse me. Just trying to keep track of things here. The first thing you need to know about tech is it's hard. There's no two ways around it. I'm not going to pussyfoot. It's hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to hire for. It's hard to manage. No two ways about it. But it's the only way to get there. Okay? Now, a lot of times people say, oh, but it's just code, right? You guys have all read the Lean Startup, you know about MVPs, and you know about that. Oh gosh, I've got that idea, code, data loop down. And it's only one point, it's just that code loop. Isn't the hard thing getting out of the building, talking to people, distilling their ideas down, seeing that appear in an MVP, and delivering? Yes, that is hard. Do not get me wrong. But that code piece is really, really difficult. And part of that is because a user can describe in 1 minute, they can describe functionality that might take 6 months to implement. To satisfy them, someone is going to have to wrap their brain around that and work on that for 6 months. That you, as the non-technical founder, who doesn't have a real strong feel for it, you walk in, you sit down with the team, you say, hey, I've got this great idea. After talking to all our customers, let's do this. And these guys, they're excited, they've bought into your vision. Like, yeah, we'll do that. And you've just derailed them and taken them on a 6-month journey. That's the hard part about managing. The other thing that makes software hard, as Fred Brooks put it, what we build software in, to get his exact words, software is built in an extremely tractable medium. It's mind stuff. And because of that, it's really easy to fool ourselves. We can become, we don't see the difficulties we might have because it's so easy at one level to create it. You're right, it's just code. On the other hand, getting it all right, getting all the pieces together, is very, very difficult. And the thing is it's one point on this thing. It's the build, it's the measure, it's the learn, it's the ideas, it's the code, it's the data. It seems pretty simple, it's just one piece. But did you think about testing? Oh, how about deployment? How are you going to be deploying this? Scalability, security, those things are hard. Those are the things that those of us who are the best, we beat our heads until there are dents in our foreheads dealing with. Getting that stuff is really good. What do you do for monitoring? How about incident management? How about technical debt? Because while you've been on this dash to get that MVP out there and get it live, you've been piling up tech debt. You took your credit card out and you've been charging. You've been charging like a teenager who's been let loose in a shopping mall with no credit limit. And you know the thing about tech debt? As one of my friends said, he said, the tech debt, the interest on tech debt, oh, the mafia, the loan sharks, the all loans would be ashamed to charge it. And when it comes due, it takes your business down. So you're going to have to allocate things. You're going to have to make sure that you plan this in. And this is part of what makes it hard. And there are a million and other one things that make this happen, that make this difficult. So it's hard. There's a lot of pieces. You're going to have to learn things that you didn't start out wanting to learn. But here's the good thing, and I'll talk about this a little bit more later. If your tech people can't explain it to you in plain English, you've got the wrong tech people. This here is my favorite team out there. This is the Portland Thorns, women's professional soccer team in Oregon, in the United States. Why do I love this team? Because this team has an incredible roster. First off, they have more of the U.S. women's national players on this team than any other professional football team in the United States. Okay? But the other thing they have is they have an incredible mix of people that you would consider average. Now, you may have heard the statement that the difference between an average software developer or an average tech person and the best of the best is a 10x. Well, it's true. It is true. But you don't want to go out and just recruit a team of 10xers. That would be like having a team made up of a goalkeeper and a striker. Get the best goalkeeper, get the best striker, we can deal with it, right? Well, no. You need those other players to fill in there. And the Thorns got this right. They have their 10x players, but they have their 1x players. And this is the key thing, it is a team sport. It's critical for you to understand it is team sport. Now let's pretend that I've just been made the manager of Man United. And I announced, you know what? I've decided to split the team, and we're going to have half the team play on one pitch every Saturday, and the other half play on another pitch every Saturday. We're just going to split the team. Because I was able to get these guys, hire these guys, they're pretty good, but you know, they're offshore, and I'm going to have them play on that pitch, and then I'm going to have the home team play here. You telling me I was crazy. Because it's a team. They've got to play on the same pitch. But again and again and again, I hear startup people say, yeah, we're going to outsource that. We're going to offshore that. We got some guys, they're cheaper, and they'll just make it happen for us. The process of creating software is a team sport. Creating a product. When you break that apart, it's just as crazy as what I described, as having a soccer team play on two different pitches. Wrap your mind around that insanity, and then start back and think about your plans to outsource your software development. The other thing is, when you do that, now I have built offshore and outsourced teams. I've been very successful at it. But it took every bit of my expertise to do it. It also meant that I got up at 4 in the morning to have an end-of-day call with India, and it meant that I stayed up until 8 p.m. to have a beginning-of-day call with India. And it was like being back on the farm milking the cows. I mean, I didn't have a life because I had to be there basically every 12 hours to interact with them and to keep them on track. Yes, you can do it, but it is not for the inexperienced, and you better have a really big cost arbitrage. Anything under 10 to 1, forget it. If you can't get those people for 1/10 the cost of what you're paying all in, forget it. Because you just missed a whole bunch of other costs that you're going to have to pay later. So you're the founder, you're the CEO. What is your role in this team? Too many of these founders who read Isaacson's bio of Steve Jobs, maybe watched a couple of movies, heard what Steve Jobs is like, and decided, well, I'm going to be Steve Jobs. Well, I got a clue for you, as someone who worked at Apple, worked with people at Apple. A, you're not Steve Jobs. And B, Steve Jobs was not Steve Jobs. Okay? The vision that people have of Steve. Steve was an incredible person. I was there the night Steve came back to Apple in 1996. I was involved peripherally with the next deal. Incredible person. I will not take anything away from you. But you're not Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs was not successful because he went around yelling and screaming at people. Okay? A lot of people think that's what it was. You know, he yelled around, and yes, he did. I was on the receiving end of a few of those. What is your job? It's to be an inspiration to the team. It's to get them to believe that they can do something that they don't think they can do. It's to push them to the highest standards possible. That's your role. And your job is to soak up all the blame and all the crap that comes with it. A person put it much more pungently than that in the feedback. I think they used a excrement vacuum, and they used a different word for excrement. And it's to be the person who spreads the praise around and basically stands in the background. Okay? That's what's going to get your team to work and what it's going to make it successful. It's a team sport. You need to have the team together, playing on the same field, and they need someone they can trust that's going to have their backs so that they can go do the work that they need to do. Now, I want to really talk about and underline what I said earlier. If you have a tech team that can't explain to you the technology, or why they're making a technical choice, in simple, plain English, they're either basically trying to bamboozle you, or you just don't have the right people. I can explain the most, give me enough time, to put it together, I can explain the most difficult technical concepts to the most non-technical person. Okay? I might need to make 3 or 4 passes at it, but I can do it. Okay? If I can't, I'm failing at my job. New isn't better. The longer I have worked in tech, the more I have come to embrace that for many, many things, new is not better. But tech people are fascinated by the new, the bright, the shiny. We love it. You know, when the Garmin 920 XT came out, I'm a triathlete. Got one on my wrist. When it came out, I was there on the waiting list. I got it 2 days after it came out. When Garmin introduced the Vector, the power meter pedal, I was there. I have one. Okay? I had a Newton message pad. I learned it. That's one for you guys who old ones. And that desire to play with the new stuff, that can be the death sentence for your venture. It really, really can be. fact is, this new stuff can be distracting. New stuff means I have to learn it. New stuff means that it hasn't been totally worked through. These are all the risks you run with the new stuff. Okay? And again, if those techies can't explain to you in plain English or Singlish why this new tech is the right thing to do, trust me, it's probably not the right thing. So, forget the new. Boring is good. The longer I've worked in tech, the more I've been convinced boring is really good. Boring means not getting woken up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. because that new thing failed in the production environment where it had never been used before. You know, that well-used database, yes, it's SQL, it's not no SQL, it's, you know, everybody's used it, it's not what the cool kids are looking at, what they're playing with, but you know what? I'm not going to spend the weekend at the office struggling to make it work. I'm not going to spend hours and hours trying to figure out some configuration because it's not well documented and nobody else has used it, so I've got to figure it out by poking it. Okay? It's going to be, you know, I'm not going to be doing the all-nighters to fix it. Okay? So don't get me wrong. I stay on the cutting edge. I'm an advisor to a fintech startup that's targeting the emerging markets of Southeast Asia, starting with Indonesia. We built an architecture for our backend systems using microservices and Go. Turned out that they were pretty pragmatic decisions. But they were new. You know, Go's new, microservices are new, it's what the cool kids are doing. But let me tell you what we did that was boring. We're using AWS. Okay? Try to use AWS. We're using PostgreSQL as our database. It's well known, it's well put together. We're using Chef for our infrastructure management. Boring. These are all boring things. But they gave me security to be on the cutting edge in one place. So your venture, imagine that your tech choices, you get one thing that can be new and shiny. Make everything else boring. Give your developers that one chip that they can put down and they can make a bet on. And really put them through the ringer about why they should do it, why they can do it, but then keeping them boring on the rest of the front. So if you want to reach me, here's the information. I do advising of people, tech startups. I love to mentor and coach and help people, help them to build ventures. And after this slide, real quick, I'll let you get your pictures. You all want to get your pictures. I'm going to post these. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 23 slides of some of the most cogent, interesting comments that I've read on the space of tech and what you, as a non-tech founder, should know. Thank you very much. Let's take questions.